Hello. Hello, welcome, neighbors, friends, brothers and sisters. Welcome again. This is your Member Provincial Parliament, Faisal Hassan, joining you again another Friday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. to hear your concerns and also to hear and answer some of your questions. Before I begin, I would like to acknowledge at this time the land that we know as York Southwestern is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Japwe, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wadet peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations Inuits and Métis people. Welcome, folks, those who are joining us Instagram, welcome. And those also who are joining us Facebook page, Faisal Hassan, NDP, welcome. Twitter, Faisal Hassan, NDP, welcome. And YouTube, welcome. And also LinkedIn as well, welcome. And I will be taking also your comments and also answering some of your questions as well. Ayan, welcome. And also Frank, welcome. And Paul, welcome. And welcome, folks, also joining us Instagram now. And good evening to you all. Frank says, good evening all. And Faisal Hassan, NDP, welcome. And Ayan, welcome as well. Good evening as well to you. Well, thank you, folks. Just an announcement before I begin our discussion this evening. The applications for the second round annual Faisal Hassan NDP is Faisal Hassan MPP rather is opened. That's the Youth Council, and this gives young people an opportunity and provides an exciting opportunity for young people to highlight ways our community can be better and identify ways we can support young people and across this province. And if you are a young person between the ages of 16 and 24 and are interested in making an impact in your community, you can just submit an application and we'll be able to respond to you immediately. So we are accepting the second annual MPP Faisal Hassan Youth Council for York Southwestern, and applications are open. So that was just an announcement. Welcome, folks, who are joining us Instagram. Good evening as well. Well, folks, this week, welcome Brandon as well. Says good evening and all as well. So welcome to you all. Quickly, I'm just having folks just a challenge with my. Oh, here I have, but I'm just trying to able to minimize the chats here, but I just want to bring it quickly close to here so I can see those of you who are coming or simultaneously making comments in YouTube or Twitter or Facebook so that I can respond to you quickly to you. Well, thank you. This week we have seen an announcement made. I think this was just an announcement made by Metrolink and the City of Toronto establishing business support table with Tapia and the Eglinton BIA Alliance to allocate funding. Quickly, if you haven't read that, I just want to quickly read a couple of paragraphs of this press release that Metrolink and the City of Toronto, including also Eglinton BIA Alliance, made. And this was January 14th. Metrolink is excited to share that it has reached a verbal agreement with the City of Toronto with the support from Toronto Association of BIAs, as well as the Eglinton BIA Alliance, to establish a joint committee that will continue to address the needs of the local businesses during the construction. They say that $1 million is what remains from the Ontario government's $3 million pledge provided in earlier 2020 for additional marketing support and cleanup assistance for businesses on Eglinton Avenue. The committee will be working together to determine exactly what the needs of these businesses are and allocate the remaining 1 million in funds to assist them as they prepare for the launch of the new Eglinton Line 5 between Mount Dennis and Kennedy Station. Okay. And to date, they say the business support funds have been used to increase window washing, street cleaning, litter collecting along the corridor, and funding to Eglinton Avenue BIAs and one-on-one local business marketing and advertising, such as flyers, newsletters, other promotional materials, sandwiches, and flyers. And I have been very closely contacting our BIAs. We have two BIAs, mainly, the Eglinton Hill BIA and also Mount Dennis BIA, which was recently late created, but mainly those businesses really that have been affected are that corridor in our community. But the other thing is interesting, folks, is that they say the Metrolink is pleased to be part of an effort to support local businesses that are impacted by the construction of much needed transit project. And we look forward to collaborating over the next year as Metrolink prepares for the service launch of Toronto's newest transit line. The work delivered through this committee will help to build excitement and get businesses ready for opening day. Now, this is interesting, folks, about this press release. Here it is. It says the committee will be made up of Metrolink, City of Toronto Economic Development, Toronto Association of BIAs, Tapia, and the chair of the Eglinton BIA Alliance. The committee will also include representation from the offices of Councillor Josh Matlaw and Member Provincial Parliament Robin Martin in advisory roles to provide additional insights from the municipal and provincial perspective, respectively, as needed. And this is, I don't know exactly, folks, what you understand about this, but it looks like it's welcome to do cleaning, garbage pickup. Already, they pay taxes and all sort of things. What the businesses in Eglinton Hills and Mount Dennis have asked was direct support. Direct support is what they needed. And if they are including MPP Robin Martin there, this committee as advisory committee, isn't it the right thing also to do to include as well Jill Andrew, who is Toronto St. Paul's MPP, and myself? Because both of us also affect us in our community with this project, and many of our communities have struggled. So it is the right thing to do to make sure that we are included here, so that we participate. And as the Eglinton Crosstown LRT nears completion, small businesses along Eglinton continue to struggle as a result of construction and long delays. Promised provincial funding did not materialize in concrete support for these businesses, and they deserve transparency as to where the previous 2 million was spent. They need targeted financial support. And these are the businesses our businesses need. The government must come forward to protect the vibrancy of Main Street, Eglinton Avenue. My colleague Jill Andrew joined me to insist on a strategy that focuses on businesses and helps them get back on their feet. And Jill Andrew and I put together a press release. I have also included that, my last newsletter. And what we want to have a discussion with Metrolink is, and the Minister of Transportation is actually having a seat where to have Jill Andrew and myself to be included in this advisory, so that we can bring the concerns of Eglinton Hills and Mount Dennis community as well. So this is the right thing to do if you are including the provincial representation of those affected. Then this is also the right thing to do, and definitely we'll be engaging that discussion. And quickly also, folks, I want to welcome Ayana Francis. Ayana Francis is a local children's books author, and I want you to show you exactly. This is, folks, her second book. It's ABC. Where are we, Africa? And her previous one, the first book, was Where Are We in the Caribbean? And this really looks great. Ayana Francis, beautiful illustrations, and she has been, she's right here in Weston, in our community, folks. Please support our artist. She has done fantastic. In order to order the book, you can order right here, www.travelingfeetbooks.com, and that is again www.travelin feet feet books.com. So folks, support our own here in Weston, Ayana Francis, who is a rising writer and children's book author, and I'm proud to meet her yesterday here at the constituency, and this is a gift from Ayana Francis, and I want to share with you to support our local artists. Artists, writers, all of them are really struggling in our community, and we need to support them. And please do so by visiting and buying her book, ABC, Where Are We? Africa. And the previous one was ABC, the ABC, Where Are We? The West Indies. Sorry, it wasn't in the Caribbean. It was ABC, Where Are We? The West Indies. That was the first book. And the second book is ABC, Where Are We? Africa. Beautiful illustrations, folks. Look at that. Look at that illustrations, folks. Beautiful book, So please support. And also, Black History Month is coming, and support for authors in our community. Ayana Francis is done fantastic. We thank you, Ayana, and thank you very much for the work you're doing and the work you're doing. And Ayana have actually joined us on Twitter, and she says, folks, thank you. And folks, you can support her. Again, www.travelingfeetbooks.com. So make sure you support them. Quickly, I'll take some of the comments here, and folks, here quickly, I'll just go back here. Yes, here, and Frank says, Brother Faisal, many of my neighbors have complained about the lack of snow removal on sidewalks on many streets in York Southwestern. I have also tried calling 111 to no avail. I think it is a crisis, and it is the issue of snow. I mean, it has been a record setting first and foremost, but also, folks, it was also, I think what we need is the city also to make sure where, a timely removal. I think this is also a municipal matter. I will also suggest folks to engage with the city councillor, Francis Nanziara. But I know many of you have been calling my constituency, and we have been responding directly, advocating to make sure that the corner, side streets and others, and even our community was dealt with later. And still, it is everywhere. People are complaining about it, and I think this is an opportunity, folks, to write to your city council about this issue, and definitely it's something we need to look into it and make sure that we are ready situations like this in the future. Well, thank you for sharing your comments, and always it's a good idea to call 311. It's 24 hours, so you can also email 311 as well. So do that and share your concerns. And Brandon says, now that the UK Conservative government has lifted all of the COVID-19 restrictions and mandates, do you think that the Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, will follow suit when it comes to COVID-19 restrictions and mandates? Well, that is a very good question, Brandon. But remember, as I said, many years ago, 15 years ago, I get rid of my television. So I don't have a television. So I haven't been watching international news lately. And I don't know what's happening. The UK Conservatives and what sort of things you are talking about here about lifting all of the COVID-19 restrictions. If that is the case, I think this is a question directly to the federal MP. Since Justin Trudeau is also the prime minister, so his representative, as my counterpart, will be the appropriate person to direct that question. I would like to know more about it. Maybe you can ask me next week on that when I found out exactly what is this, and so forth. Well, quickly, Francis, our Ayana Francis, traveling www.travelingfitbooks.com. Check it out. More books to come. Remember, folks, that's exactly what Ayana Francis said to this evening, and she has joined us on Instagram. We need to support a local artist. If you haven't heard about what I talked about, Ayana Francis has visited me here at the constituency yesterday, and I had a lovely conversation. And she has, wrote another book, which is ABC, Where Are We? Africa, and her previous book was ABC, Where Are We? The West Indies. So you can both find and order them at the www.travelingfeetbooks.com and support our local author, children's book writer. Well, thank you for making us proud and for the work you're doing. Thank you, and thank you also for joining us. And Ayana says more books to come, folks. So support, folks. And next month it's a February, a Black History Month. Also, we need also to talk about more about the work of Ayana Francis. We will be inviting her to join us, an event we are planning, and we'll be able to let you know the coming weeks. Okay, very good. Thank you. And Ivan, welcome. Carla, welcome. Ubah, welcome. And also, Brandon says again, the Ford government announced it will be investing 44 million into building elementary schools in downtown Toronto condos. Do you think that it is a good idea to build elementary schools in downtown Toronto? Well, I think, we need schools. We need to invest education, definitely. I support public education, and we need where young professionals are moving into downtown with condos, with their own children, and definitely, it will have. We need schools everywhere. It's not only downtown, but everywhere in the province. We need schools where children are. So investing in schools, I think it's what I have been advocating for years. And we need to have more schools to make sure that we have small classes. We need to invest more and to make sure that also we hire more teachers, education workers to support our students. Okay. Well, thank you. Ivan says, hello, Mr. Hassan. Well, hello. Oh, Ivan, hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining this afternoon. Welcome. And Ayana Francis, folks are saying to you, hello, and says, so many history and knowledge to share. Indeed, and we are looking forward to also to your third book, or fourth, sixth, all your books, and I know you will make us proud. Well, thank you very much for that. Folks, support Ayana Francis, and you can get her books www.travelingfitbooks.com. It's a local artist. Well, I know that our friend Frank asked a question about keeping the city moving in terms of shuffling the snow, making sure that also people are not having problems with snow removal and so forth. Well, I think the weather this week was being incredibly disruptive, especially Monday. But I wanted to take an opportunity to express my appreciation for the many workers who are doing their best to keep the city moving. Snow clearing crews, TTC employees, frontline healthcare workers, and emergency first responders doing their best in a turbulent situation. I also want to thank community members who made the choice to stay home to limit the possibility of further disruption. Please stay safe and be sure to check in on any vulnerable neighbor who may be in need of support or snow clearing. As many corner streets in our community is still are waiting to be cleared with snow. I know many of you have called, and we have been advocating directly, and will continue to do so to make sure that there's no removed in your corner, in your streets, in your other streets as well. And definitely is something we need to make sure that it's a lesson we learned as well. And we can also start ways to improve how we help the community in situations like this. And because of climate change, it will become more frequent now, this type of weather. So we have to be prepared and ready for it so that we are able to clear on time. This is news. Well, this week also, folks, I don't know if you have been following that housing summit, which the conservative, progressive conservatives have been trying to postpone, and also the BC's Housing Affordable Task Force has also leaked some of their recommendations, which we don't know yet what recommendations or what plans they have for housing. And the long delayed housing summit with municipal leaders has finally kicked off this week. The government announced efforts to reduce red tape for new builds, but has failed to address many of the key issues affecting the decades-long housing crisis in Ontario. We cannot afford further delays on the top of the 15 years of inaction on the part of the Liberal government. And remember, folks, this have started these housing crises a long history stretching over 30 years. When John Chrétien was the prime minister, they said housing, they have nothing to do with it, especially affordable housing and housing in general. And they have downloaded it into provincial governments here in Ontario. Then we had a premier called Mike Harris. Mike Harris downloaded it into municipalities, like our municipality here in Toronto. And then Erin Eves and the Liberals and the Dalton McGuinty and Kathleen Wynne followed, downloading it into municipalities. And we see our city struggle. His worship, John Tory, and the city councillors cannot handle the housing crisis. You know, it is huge, and they have been neglected. Only the affordable housing in Toronto alone, people are waiting over 100,000. That's only Toronto, not in Bill region or other regions in Ontario. So this crisis, remember, it was the Liberals and then the Conservatives who have nothing to do with housing at all. And now this government, all of a sudden, they're trying to say, oh, we see there's a crisis, but they had 3 years and 6 months already to deal with this issue. And each time when we talk about housing, every proposals, bills, and motions we bring, they vote against it. And you know, also we have a plan, a clear plan. I have been talking about the last 6 months here about our plan. And some of you, I have been sharing with you our housing plan, the Ontario NDP housing plan, so we can tackle this once and for all. But also we continue to demand real action to get a grip on the housing crisis, including caps on rent increases between tenants, tenancy vacancy, and speculation taxes, introducing more exclusionary zoning, and more. We need to make sure that we give people options when it comes to housing. And we will do that. Our plan, I like it because it gives options for everybody. Those of you who earn or make less than 200,000 and you are struggling to actually put down payment in your house, then we'll be able to give you equity loans of 10% to make sure that you are able to have you can put down the down payment so that you could buy your own home. That's one option. Another option is to also build more affordable housing, more co-ops, you know, and also provide people with mental health with transitional housing, and make sure that they are supported in that regard. So we need a government to focus it 100% and have a plan. And we have a plan. An NDP government will deal with this issue, not like the other governments, especially the Liberals had 15 years to do something about it. Now we see the issue of above guideline increases, which is also have created so much problems for renters. For example, the annual increases this year is about 1.2 plus, unknown numbers of percentages of above guideline increases. And that means the landlords also, they're responsible for maintenance to make sure, they take their part of their responsibility. And now it's becoming now unaffordable. No one can afford to even rent, let alone buy a home in Ontario. And it is a crisis indeed, but this government had about 3 years and 6 months to do something about it. But now, nevertheless, we would like to also see what their plan is. But we need to tackle this crisis head on, and we will do it. An NDP government will deliver results, folks. Well, those of you who are just joining, you're joining your member provincial parliament, Faisal Hassan. Welcome. I join you every Friday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. to hear your concerns and also to take some of your questions and also to talk to you the work of the week, the issues, important issues we have been working on that week, meeting every Friday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. At the beginning of the pandemic, 2020, we started on Saturdays from 3 to 4 p.m. But folks, you have said that you prefer Fridays from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And here we are joining you, and we haven't canceled a single day to join you, to update you, and to listen to your concerns. And that's also one of the accountability to be accessible to you virtually because of the situation in which we found ourselves, the pandemic, so that we hear your concerns. And if you want to write to me, you can write to me, fhassan-co@ndp.on.ca. You can also phone me at 416-243-7984, and that's the constituency number as well. Quickly, I'll take the comments from folks, from those who are commenting on Faisal Hassan NDP Facebook page. And here, Brandon comes and says, now that the restaurants, gyms, and movie theater will reopen on Monday, January 31st, 2022, do you think that it is a good idea to reopen the restaurants, gyms, and movie theater on Monday, January 31st? Well, Brandon, thank you. That's a very good question. And I think I always said that, we cannot politicize the public health issues. And that's why I always rely on the public health, science table about the direction of that. So definitely, if we are going to do this on Monday, then we need a concrete data to show us this is where we are headed. And definitely that will help our safety, because the safety comes number one, not politicking. I know this is an election year, and also, but I think we have to focus. The public health is number one issues, so we can't just rely on this government. We've seen how they are not prepared to tackle the issues that is affecting. We've seen many members of our community said that they need basic days. Many members of our frontline workers said they need to be repealed, Bill 124, and we see this government says the frontline heroes and champions, but when it comes to supporting them, they bring bills like 124 and also capping their salary. We've seen the situations of the BSWs working very hard, working many part times, and the failure also completely of our breakdown of our long-term care and home care, and we are going to also fix that. I have talked about many months with you here about our plan, long-term care and home care, that we want to make sure that also we also institute 4 hours and have hours of care, daily care for long-term care and also home care. And well, folks, those who are joining, Tariq, welcome, and Ifat, welcome as well. And she says, good evening, Mr. Faisal Hassan. And Tariq says, hello, Faisal. Hello to you. Welcome, folks. Those who are joining me from Instagram, welcome. Faisal Hassan NDP, and also a Facebook page, Faisal Hassan NDP, welcome. And also Twitter, Faisal Hassan NDP, and YouTube and LinkedIn. If you're joining me on YouTube, please make sure you subscribe my YouTube as well. And if you have any comments, you can actually share with me as I'm live, so I'll be able to answer your questions. Okay, so you can just write your questions there, and I'll be able to attempt to answer your questions. Or if you have any comments, if you're joining me from YouTube as well, you can do that. And if you're joining also on LinkedIn, you can do the same as well, and Twitter as well. And I'll be happy to answer your questions and also read and share the community members on also your comments as well. Well, folks, long-term care is in crisis. I said it, and once again, this week, my leader, Andrew Horvath, the official opposition leader, has written a letter to the Premier, Doug Ford, calling for a new dedicated long-term care minister after the resignation of Rod Phillipson. Families are concerned, and frontline staff are being worked to the point of exhaustion. We are demanding action to deal with staffing shortages to care for vulnerable seniors, including paid sick days, and an immediate pay increase. We need to hire personal support workers and ensure that those that remain aren't forced out of this important line of work. And also you can also check also my Facebook page. You can also or check Ontario NDP website, so you can read also that letter as well that my leader Andrew Horvath wrote to the Premier about making sure that we have a dedicated minister on the issues of long-term care, not a part-time minister who deals with the long-term care filed. And it's very important that we do. Quickly, Carla also writes a comment, and I would like to share a comment. Says, good evening all. Well, folks, Carla is saying to you, good evening. She's joining us on Facebook, my Facebook page, Faisal Hassan NDP, and says, what are your thoughts about your leader, Andy Horvath, asking for the vaccine certificate to be expanded to places like LCBOs, the cannabis stores, especially since you can just buy liquor at grocery stores? Well, that's a very good question, Carla. Thank you very much. My leader is doing a fantastic job, and she has been putting first, the safety and the public health, and it's very important that we make sure that we get our, vaccinations. And I know that a lot of people in Toronto have gotten, and many of us are also getting their boosters. And I think making sure we're looking after one another, it's important that we make sure that we look after one another. We look after our neighbors, our colleagues, and these vaccines should be available everywhere. As you know now, the Humber River Hospital, the Women's Hospital, and many community health centers, primary care, such as the Unison, the Black Creek Community Health, have been doing a fantastic job bringing vaccinations to people and to homes, to senior homes and to communities, and creating so many pop-ups. So getting vaccines, I think it's a good idea, and getting those in those locations, in those places, it's also a good idea because you make it accessible. Now we used to have in pharmacies and some pop-ups. As you know, we have been fighting to have a permanent facility to have a vaccine center. To this day, we don't have it. We fought for 7 months to have a testing center. So we need those resources to make sure that those members of our community, Carla, who wants it, to have vaccines have it, you know. Um, and the idea of expanding certificates, um, um, it is also makes safer the community for one another to make sure that we are protected, and this is also our health, Carla. So we need to make sure that we are on top of this so that we can come out of this quickly and follow those public guidelines. So I think those are good ideas to make sure that we protect one another. Okay. Well, thank you for your question. And folks, schools is back in session. Students are thrilled to see their friends and teachers once again and participate in the unique community environment that can only be found in local schools. It is positive news. But parents and educators remain anxious about the remainder of the school year. The investments that we have called for to deliver on a safe return to schools have not materialized. The door remains opened to outbreaks and isolated closures depending on conditions within classes and schools. Staffing concerns are also a worrisome issues as teachers and staff fall ill as a result of Omicron and it is vigorous transmissibility. Parents are justified in feeling worried about the future when the government seems so unwilling to learn from the past. Parents, teachers, and students are doing everything possible to keep schools safe, and they deserve policies that protect them and empower them to make the right choices for their families. The Minister of Education continues to leave everyone in a state of confusion about their approach to school safety. They recently announced that parents will only be notified of a potential COVID-19 outbreak when approximately 30% of staff and students in the school are absent, triggering a letter from the local medical officer of health and the principal to the school community. This has only raised more questions. What is the scientific basis for the 30% figure, and how are families who have chosen to initially keep students home being factored into the account? On what basis is the decision made to keep the school open or not without access to PCR testing? Parents and school boards are feeling abandoned and suddenly reigns. If a child exhibits symptoms of COVID-19, is exposed to a possible case, or tests positive on a rapid antigen test, is there a requirement to inform the school? There is there is a void in leadership within the provincial government. It is irresponsible for the government to offload the responsibility of keeping children safe to school boards when they refuse the resources they need. They must return PCR testing availability to elementary and high school students as well as teachers and staff. They need to support school leadership working hard to arrange vaccine clinics and ensure culturally appropriate outreach tools are available so no one is left behind. They should not lose focus on the staffing challenges and work on to hire more teachers and reduce class sizes. We can all be thankful that young children are back in class, but the hands off approach of this government will not ensure that this continues to be the case. Well, thank you to the parents who have shared their feedback on this issue. I will continue to fight to ensure that schools remain open because our children deserve it and we must continue. Kids need to be in school. Well, thank you, those of you who just joined. You're Member Provincial Parliament, Faisal Hassan. And I've been joining you since the pandemic every Friday before, every Saturday from 3 to 4, now every Friday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. To hear your concerns and to have a conversation about the work of the week. And so that we hear the concerns you have. You can also write to me, fhassan-co at ndp.on.ca. You can also phone me at the constituency if you want to talk to me. That is 416-243-7984. Well, welcome, folks. And quickly, I'll take another comment that's coming from Facebook page. Brandon says, since the city of Toronto received snow on Monday, will you be going to people's house to help the seniors solve the snow? Some of our seniors in our riding cannot solve the snow. Will you be solving the snow for the seniors in our riding? Well, thank you very much. Unlike others, Brandon, on Monday, I have been helping the community, but I haven't been taking selfies or pictures or things like that. That's unnecessary. We have to help our community. And as you know, many members of our community have been calling since Monday at the constituency. And we have been helping, and definitely we will help and will continue to do quietly the work that's needed to support the community. And definitely, yes, we'll be helping and we'll continue to help because many members, some of the folks that had called were women who were pregnant, and also the snow were covering right there in their homes. And we have made sure that that has been addressed, and also we have assisted working with also the folks from the city to make sure those are addressed a priority, and we'll make sure to continue to do that. Anyone who needs help, definitely they can write to us, fhassan-co at ndp.on, or phone us at 416-243-7984. Well, thank you, Brandon, for the question. That is a very good question. Thank you for joining this afternoon as well. Well, Mother Nature had other plans, and we've seen this week the wintry plaster that we encountered overnight on Sunday night certainly frustrated some parents and delighted young children right across our community, as the snow days often do. To be sure, this is only temporary, and the students will be back in the classrooms where they belong very soon. And we want them, there were several schools closed, like the Western CIA Collegiate, Luciano Testa, welcome, and others as well. And we need to make sure parents deserve a reprieve from the online learning that has been a challenge for them and their families. Teachers also want to return to enjoying a community atmosphere in our local schools. What we would all like to avoid are the risks that come with in class learning in a pandemic. There is no option that eliminates risk completely, but there is much more that could be done to ensure everyone's safety. Parents deserve to know the government is doing everything possible to ensure a healthy environment for their children. Teachers and staff at schools deserve a, a workplace that respects them, their health and well being. That is why we have consistently called for measures to improve safety in our schools and demand action from this government. Prior to the pandemic, we know that class sizes were too large, thanks to years of undercutting from the Breyer liberal governments, Dalton McGuinty's government, Kathleen Wynne, Mike Harris, Aaron Eves, and the Ford now government moved to eliminate teaching positions, and the result was classrooms where social distancing was difficult or impossible. We have asked the government to take steps to make class sizes smaller since the very beginning, only to be turned away. We have asked the government for a vaccination blast for children who have their parents' permission within school clinics, and they have refused. The government cannot continue to cross its fingers and hope the problems go away. They need to take action. Ontario has experienced the most missed school days of any jurisdiction in North America. One would hope that the Premier would have learned some lessons and shown some humility in the face of these failures. Instead, parents get confusing, mixed messages and lack of transparency about cases in their school. We can do better. We should be providing free rapid tests for students, teachers, and staff. Students should have access to PCR testing. The Ministry of Education should be providing clarity on case counts in the classroom and school, not denying parents the information they need to keep their families safe. I and my colleagues will continue to press this government for action and demand that they recall the legislature so that we can move forward to constructive solutions to support schools, hospitals, and long-term care facilities across the province. Well, folks, welcome. Those who are joining, give me a minute. Those who are joining, you're joining your member Provincial Parliament, Faisal Hassan. Those who are joining Instagram, you're joining Faisal Hassan NDP, and those joining also Twitter, Faisal Hassan NDP, Facebook page, Faisal Hassan NDP, and also YouTube, Faisal Hassan NDP, and also LinkedIn, Faisal Hassan NDP. Welcome, folks, and I've been with you since 7 p.m. this evening to talk to you and listen to your concerns and also your comments and your questions, and also talk to you about this week's important issues and the work of the week. And hopefully, that if you have any concerns, you can write to me, fhassan-co@ndp.on.ca, or you can write to me. You can actually phone me at 416-243-7984. And this actually yesterday, my constituent and also a community member, Ayana Francis, visited me at the constituency. She's a local writer who has wrote a new book, and her new book is ABC, Where Are We? Africa. This is beautiful journey and beautiful illustrations and rich story takes you from the entire continent of Africa, from the south, west, north, east, and central, and teaches you a lot of history there for kids. So you can actually check it out at the www.travelingfitbooks.com. You can order. And her first book of Ayana Francis was ABC, Where Are We? The West Indies. And that's also was a beautiful book. And I'm also adding this to my collections as well for children's books. You can also do the same, and support our local artist. And I know that next month is Black History Month, and this is also right on to support Black authors and also a local Westerner children's books author, Ayana Francis. We are proud of her work, and I definitely like the work. So please also support local artist and local artist Ayana Francis. And you can get it, the book, from www.travelingfeetbooks.com. Check it out, folks. Yeah, thank you. And we need to support local artists here. And yes, and also, tell me, you can always tell me stories or issues you have or concerns you have, or I'll be happy to hear them and also listen to your concerns as well. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to also to answer them for you as well. And folks, also consumer protection is an important issue. We have seen many members of our community taken advantage of, gorged, and so many things. A case in point is also the auto insurance case is a big issue here in our community. Housing is another. We have many housing issues that people have signed, paid money. To this day, they haven't done registering their homes. They haven't even put into the hydro, the electricities, and each day they are postponing again and again and again. That's why we need a strong organization that deals with, a consumer watchdog, independent, to make sure that these concerns are addressed. Not just asking you to hire a lawyer to deal with it on this aspect of it, and definitely also on the auto insurance file, as you guys know, is also I have been fighting this since I've been elected, and the issue of postal code discrimination, is real. Members of our community, on average, they pay over 3,000 a year for auto insurance. That's unacceptable. And where some communities also pay less, because where we live is targeted when it comes to auto insurance. And I remember in 2019, when I met the representatives of these insurance companies, they have said they agreed this is not working, and I agree with them. If that's the case, how come you are not going to fix it? And it doesn't make sense, members of our community, to pay over 3,000 a year for auto insurance. It's like a mortgage already. And we need to make sure that auto insurance is affordable. Another thing I'll talk to you about is that in the pandemic, no one was driving their cars, yet the auto insurance was going up, 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 not going down. I know some of you have said that you have received some discount, here and there, but it's getting worse and worse. So this is also, it's an important also making sure the consumer are protected. And right now it's not protected. And we see also the Kathleen Wynne's broken promises of dealing with the auto insurance, reducing it to 15%. It hasn't materialized. It hasn't been done. And this government also votes against our bills and our motions to eliminating a postal code discrimination as well, which will also affects our community and many communities like ours, like Brampton, like Scarborough, and other communities as well. Um, and that's not also is not right. And I've talked about also quickly about the housing and housing crisis. It's really crisis, and we have here most of the time a word called affordability. You know, and we have to ask folks when you hear affordable housing, specifically affordable housing, when we hear, we have to ask um, what do they mean affordable housing? So we need to understand the definition of it so that it means that it's affordable. And we also hear the story of 22 John Street. When they built early on, it was in the heart of the farmers market, where it's situated. And the farmers market was the heart of who we were and who we are in Western, the best to none. It was the best farmers market. People come from everywhere. And because of that, the land they built now this um, building, rental building, but when it was built, no one could afford it. It also created trickling other buildings to also go up, following like them, to make things difficult and unaffordable for the community. And that's a very difficult thing. We need to make sure if we are supporting these developers, then we have to have a clear understanding, that if they are going to be renting, then we have to negotiate better than that. That's what I'm trying to say. And also, we need to also build more affordable housing. We need to make sure also we have to also tackle the rent control, without rent control and also eliminating the above guidelines, because that's also a huge issue when it comes to housing as well. So, and folks, we also have a plan. A couple of months ago, my leader have released this plan. I have talked about many months now here with you, and I have emailed you or mailed you the plan for you to read it, and it's an excellent plan. If you need a copy, you can write to me fhassan-co@ndp.on.ca, or you can just call at 416-243-7984, and I'll be happy to send you a copy, and so that we also tackled the housing crisis, and NDP government will once and for all solve the crisis. And remember, folks, this crisis has begun in the 90s, and when the Chonkreche and Martin said that they have nothing to do with housing, they downloaded to provincial governments, and Mike Harris, Ernie Eves, Catherine Wynne, and Dalton McGuinty, all, what do? The Liberals and the Conservatives, they downloaded to municipalities. And now we see the crisis of the cities are having, especially our city here in Toronto, when it comes to housing. And we can do better. A province like ours, we can do much better to put our people first. And NDP government will do so June 2nd. And folks, if you want to subscribe to my newsletter, you can also visit faisalhassan.ca, my website, and you can just subscribe it there. Or you could just send an email so we can send you to show you how to subscribe it. Okay? Well, folks, I will be looking forward to speaking to you again the same time, 6 p.m., 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. next Friday as well. And those who are joining Instagram, thank you. YouTube, thank you. LinkedIn, thank you. And if you haven't subscribed my YouTube, please do so and subscribe it. And also thank you those who are joining also on Twitter and those who are joining us also Facebook page, Faisal Hassan, NDP. Folks, that's it for me. It has been a pleasure talking to you, listening to your concerns, answering your questions. And if you feel that I haven't answered your question, please write to me. I'll be happy to elaborate what you haven't, what I haven't answered, so that I can also respond to you. Those who haven't subscribed to my YouTube, please do so. And thank you, everyone who have joined. I will be seeing you again next Friday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. This is your Member Provincial Parliament, Faisal Hassan, and my constituency office is located 1965 Western Road, and I can be reached at 416-243-7984. You can write fhassan-co@ndp.on.ca. Until next Friday, 7 p.m. to 8, I'll say to you, take care and help one another. Please practice social distancing and make sure you wear your masks and look after one another. Until then, bye. I'll see you there next Friday. Bye.